Can you hear the rain on the roof? Hello, Shamai, and welcome to a horribly wet, cold, miserable, wild Welsh garden. If you're new to the channel, this is where I'm trying to wild my garden to make it more like a normal, natural ecosystem, so I can have more wildlife here. Not just to visit the garden, but to live here, and if they're invertebrates, to complete their life cycles here. Well, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of gardening done outside today, so I'm kind of looking for jobs to do in the potting shed. So I'm pottering in my potting shed up at the top of the garden, and a good thing to do on a day like this is to sow seeds. So first of all, I'll show you what I got up to about a week ago when it wasn't quite so wet and miserable. I've come to a country park at the top of the Swansea Valley where there are a lot of very tall and quite old trees, although a lot of them aren't native. So a little bit of temperate rainforest, just to show how things could be, or maybe even should be, up here. But this is what I've come to find, and here we are a bit closer. The yellow ones behind are field maples, I think, but this one here is a sweet chestnut. It's not native, but it's kind of honorary native because it has been here for a long time. Some people think since the Roman times. Although it's not strictly native, the sweet chestnut is very good for wildlife. The flowers in the spring are good for the early pollinators, and different mammals eat the nuts, and there are a number of insects, and particularly micro moths, that feed on the leaves. The squirrels have eaten most of the nuts, but I did manage to pick up a few. I think they're too small to roast, but I do think they're big enough to grow. So that's what I'm going to do. I wanted to show you these. These are the sweet chestnuts that I picked up, and I put them in a poly bag, ordinary freezer bag with a bit of wet kitchen roll, and they've started to germinate. This one just a little bit, and this one has quite a long root on it. These just beginning there. They're not ready, but that one I think is ready to plant, so I'm going to do that now. So I've just got an ordinary pot with potting compost in. Make a hole, take your sweet chestnut. That is trying to find its way downwards, so that's going to turn into the root, and then another shoot is going to come out and grow upwards. So we need to just put that in gently so that I don't break the delicate tip. Cover it over, and there you go, Bob's your uncle. And then just a quick water, just to make sure that the little root is in contact with the soil. Oh, I don't really need to do that because there's enough rain here. And this is a good time to be doing this. And here's two I prepared earlier. Well, last year actually. I collected these last year. These are oak, little oak seedlings, and I picked up some sprouting acorns last year and planted them, and they've turned into little oak trees. So I'm happy with that. And I've put the other three back into the poly bag with the wet kitchen roll to continue sprouting, and when they've done that I'll plant them up in pots in exactly the same way. And they've just been sat here on this bench in front of the window in the shed, so if I'd put them somewhere warm I would be a bit worried about them going mouldy, but they seem to have been absolutely fine here, so I'll just leave them and let nature do its thing. So if you're thinking of growing a tree, this is the time to get out and collect the nuts and the acorns and things. And if everybody in the UK grew a tree, we would have a lot more trees and a lot more wildlife. And the other thing I wanted to show you was what's happening with these silly teasels. They've started to germinate in the seed heads. Now they've been doing this for quite a while. It's called vivipary apparently. It's seen in animals where they give birth to live young, but it's also seen in some plants. But if you look at that, some of those are becoming sort of like they're not going to survive. So they're obviously not happy growing in the seed heads, and I don't know that they're going to be of any benefit to the birds. I don't know that the birds are going to eat them. I think they like dry seeds. So I'm going to have a go at seeing if I can grow them. So here is the seed head. As you can see, there's lots of tiny teasel plants growing. Now I do want teasels to self-seed. The ones that I've got in my garden, they're not self-seeded. They were given to me by a friend, and I don't know whether this is going to work with them all germinating. So to begin with I might just have to help them along a bit. Now I've never done this before. This is a complete experiment. As I say, quite a few plants have this vivipary, one of which is tomatoes, which surprised me. And I did actually find a film on YouTube of a chap who had a tomato that the seeds inside had started sprouting, and he cut it up into slices and planted them, and it seemed to work. He was getting little tomato plants growing. And I'm not sure I can cut these into slices, but what I'm going to try and do is dismantle them. So I have small pieces of the seed head with a few little germinating seedlings. Okay, one dismantled teasel head. So I've sort of pulled it and chomped it up with the secateurs into these little chunks of seed head, and each one has got at least one little teasel seedling in it. Some of them have got more. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is plant each one of those, and hope that at least one of them grows into a teasel plant. I found two of these large sort of module trays, the kind that you get plants in from the garden centre. So what I'm going to do is to take each one of these and just very carefully plant them in each module. There they are, all planted up. Most of the modules have just got one little clump in, but some of them have got two because I didn't want to waste any. And then The last thing is to give them some water. Now I've got them here in the greenhouse because if I put them outside, I know exactly what will happen. The birds will go, "Ooh, that looks interesting, can I eat that?" And they'll pull them all up. So I'm going to have them here for a bit of protection until they get established. It might get too hot in here if we have a sunny spell, so I might transfer them to the polytunnel, but for the moment they can stay here. And hopefully I shall have some nice teasels to put out next year. Teasels are biennial. They the first year they grow into rosettes, and then the second year they flower. They put up their long stalks with those lovely purple flowers on that the bees love, and the seed heads. Yeah, so I shan't have any teasels next year, but the year after, fingers crossed, I shall have some teasels. So thanks for watching the video. It's lovely to have your company on my journey. I've had such positive and helpful comments from people. Some of you have a lot more experience than I have of gardening in a wild gardening way, and that's it's really helpful and reassuring, so thanks very much. So if you'd like to come again, if you'd like to accompany me on my journey of wilding my garden, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hwyl fawr!